Okay. Hi everyone, this is 6 p.m. in Turkey and it should be 5 p.m. for you, 4 p.m. for you, Sonja, right? And I'm very happy to welcome Sonja in this session here. She'll be joining us relating to our topic projects, academic integrity related projects and some good samples. Indeed, we also... Hi everyone, this is 6 p.m. Hi. Sorry, we had a technical issue. I believe I managed to solve it. What I was saying was Martine also is joining us from Canada, and she'll be here in a few minutes. She told me that just having connection issues, so she'll be here with us. Let me, before I leave the word to Sonja and Martine, I'd like to briefly introduce both our speakers, honorary guests, to you. They are quite experienced in academic integrity, not only in terms of research, but also in terms of projects. Indeed, they are running two very important projects. Sonja is running the Bridge project, supported by Erasmus+, and Martine is running Preventing Plagiarism at Universities project, the partnership project, which is supported by the Canadian government. Just a second, please. I'd like to share my screen with you. I hope you see my presentation right now. The topic for today is good practice samples and related projects. As I already mentioned, Martine and Sonja will be joining us today to do this. But when it comes to good practice, we will be referring to once again Tracy Bretak, and I'd like to present a few excerpts relating to the contents of good practice note, which was prepared by Tracy Bretak on behalf of TEXA in 2017. Okay, who are our speakers? Starting with Dr. Martine Peters. Martine is a full professor. She is working at education faculty at the University of Quebec, and she's a faculty member. She has been a faculty member since 2006 there. Indeed, she completed her PhD at the University of Ottawa in 1999. And then just after this, she started her academic career. Her research mainly focuses on language teaching and technopedagogy here. She is specifically interested in how we can benefit from technology, especially when we are teaching writing. Within this perspective, she's specifically interested in digital scrapbooking strategies to prevent plagiarism. Indeed, the POOP project, shortly known as Preventing Plagiarism project, mainly deals with effective use of digital scrapbooking strategies to prevent plagiarism, and she will inform us about her research. So far, she has obtained several grants to work with researchers from all over the world, and she has been publishing quite a lot of articles and delivering papers. Dr. Sonja Bjelobaba, I hope I can pronounce it correctly, Sonja. I'm quite good at pronouncing your name, but I'm not sure about the surname. Indeed, she's an associate professor. She's holding two positions at her university, at Uppsala University in Sweden. One position at Center for Research Ethics and Bioethics. She's an associate professor there relating to research ethics. And she's also employed at the Department of Modern Languages, Serbian, Croatian, and Bosnian there. She has been acting as the vice president of our network, the European Network for Academic Integrity, and she's here today with us because she's coordinating an Erasmus Plus strategic partnership project, Bridging Integrity in Higher Education, shortly known as BRIDGE. She had defended her thesis at the University of Gothenburg, and she's relating to this educational developer. She has been teaching research integrity. She has been supervising postgraduate students and delivering related courses. In addition, she is also dealing with faculty members to teach and to promote academic integrity there. Her research on academic integrity is mainly referring to the Balkans and Sweden. Now, apart from the projects, as I promised you, we are also focusing today on good samples. And in the recent projects, these good samples are providing some insights to the researchers to produce more effective materials, indeed, especially pedagogical materials. Here you see the good practice note entitled Addressing Contract Cheating to Safeguard Academic Integrity, which was published in 2017. This good practice note was prepared by Tracy Bretak, and in this good practice note, she has samples from all over the world dealing with contract cheating. So the intention of Tracy at that time was familiarizing faculty members and the other researchers about these good practice samples and then making them available to a wider community. Although this is a specifically prepared material relating to Australia, indeed, I believe it has quite large impact over the other countries because it's very comprehensive, and the samples in this good practice note are coming from very different countries. And this, you see a picture of Tracy when she visited our university in 2018, and it was a lovely photo of her reminding the beautiful days that she spent here in Turkey. Here you see the content, and in this content page, as you can understand, Tracy is providing case studies. In the first place, in the first section, the cases are related to policies to promote academic integrity. And then in the second section, you see the policies and procedures to address academic integrity breaches. So on the first hand, the idea is how we can promote academic integrity, whereas in the second one, this time she addresses how we can address breaches. And then thirdly, she is referring to risks relating to academic integrity, and then providing sample cases here. Many of the cases indeed are coming from this risk section. And fourthly, she is referring to how we can address specifically contract cheating, and then maintain academic integrity, where she provides case studies, real case studies that may help us to prevent contract cheating. I believe some colleagues of INAI, we have contributed with this publication with some case studies. So I find it quite useful, and I strongly recommend it for anyone who'd like to promote academic integrity at their institutions, because these good practice samples or the cases will help us understand the situations better and take necessary precautions. However, I'm not going in the depth of these cases or samples. I'm just going to leave it to you to explore what happens there. Now, I'd like to, before I leave the word to Sonja and Martine, I'd like to provide you some brief information about the projects which were conducted in the last few years. I'm starting here with the project on European Network for Academic Integrity from 2016 to 2019, which lasted for 3 years. It was an Erasmus Plus strategic partnership project where we established the European Network for Academic Integrity. In this project, we came together as 12 partner institutions from 11 countries, and we decided to establish INAI as a platform so that we can promote academic integrity throughout Europe. And also, as you see, we are moving beyond the borders of Europe. After the establishment of the network, we started to receive some other membership applications from the other institutions, and for now, I believe the number institutions, its number is approaching approximately to 40. So we are representing more countries, and the coverage and the visibility of NIA is increasing as well. So here we can understand that some projects might have some impact after the projects are completed, and I consider INAI as a sample of this, because we completed the INAI project in 2019. However, for the last 3 years, we are increasing the number of member institutions, so it should be the evidence of this continuum, which is quite important, because only through the project years, of course, the collaboration is quite important, but after completion the projects, the implications of the projects should be visible in the society, in academia as well. The other project that I'm referring here is a project on academic integrity, which is targeting specifically 5 countries, including Turkey here, where I acted as the country manager. Irene and Thomas, they were the coordinators of this project. And this project, the PIKE project, specifically dealt with perceptions and understanding. Hi, Martine. Good to see you here. The PIKE project specifically dealt with perceptions and understanding of policies from these target countries. So indeed, the project was regarded as a continuum of other related projects which investigate the procedures and policies, academic integrity policies available in European countries. I have provided the link for the project if you are interested in the results are visible. Tentative results are visible at the project website, and also if you visit Council of Europe, the Etinet platform, you can see the results there as well. The other project, shortly known as SIPAI, this is again the original project indeed, dealing with the policies on academic integrity in the Southeast European project, and the coverage of the project was more visible. However, since it did not include some countries, Arjen and Thomas later decided to include the other countries which were not previously targeted there. This is the IPAE project, which is investigating the policies for plagiarism in higher education across Europe. As you see, this is the initial project, and the intention, the aim here was policies for plagiarism. However, we can view the changing dimensions relating to terminology as we are speaking here in this course. Okay, the literature is changing, because previously we were more focused on academic misconduct, but now we are focusing our attention more on the promotion of academic integrity. So indeed, the titles of the project representing this. This is a very comprehensive project covering 27 countries in Europe, and strategies for countering plagiarism. These are awareness relating to plagiarism, prevention of plagiarism, detection of plagiarism, anything, any strategy or any policy or procedure. These were under investigation in this theory, in this project. And you see contract cheating in Canada project, which is a national policy analysis. Indeed, this is a project coordinated by Sarah Eaton. I'm not going into details of this project because Sarah will be joining us next week for this course, and she will be talking about this project. However, this is a comprehensive project as well, especially relating to the issues in Canada, because it is providing a good overview of national policy analysis. And before I leave the word to Sonja, I'd like to inform you about the FATE project, which was accepted only 10 days ago by Turkish National Agency. Indeed, this can be regarded as a continuing project of European Network for Academic Integrity. Here, again, we are talking about an Erasmus Plus cooperation partnership in higher education project, which will be available for 3 years. As Çanakkale 18 Mart University, we will be coordinating the project, and we have partners from European Network for Academic Integrity, University of Constance, Porto, and University of Porto and University of Maribor. We have 3 objectives, main objectives here. First, we'd like to examine the minimum standards, good policy samples, not only from Europe, but also beyond Europe. So we'd like to create a corpus of good practice. And secondly, we'd like to produce some evidence-based guidance and training materials so that we can prevent academic misconduct, mainly plagiarism and contract cheating here. And lastly, we are planning to establish a support network, especially for those who are affected by academic misconduct. In a way, the last objective is relating to retrospective justice, which is an important component of academic integrity policies. Now it's my pleasure to give the floor to our guests. I'd like to start with Sonja. I hope you are fine with this, Martine. Sonja, I stopped here once again. I'd like to welcome you. Very, very nice to see you here with us today. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Nice to meet everyone here. Is it possible for me to share screen?
Yes, I already assigned you as the co-host, so
okay,
you can share your screen now.
Because I have prepared a small presentation. Let me see. Can you see it?
Yes, I can see it.
Great, brilliant. Okay, so you have already presented me, so I don't have to do it again. But it's very grateful to be here and be able to present a project that I'm coordinating. It is called Bridging Integrity in Higher Education, Business and Society. This is a project that started in September 2020, and we now have a bit more than a year and a half until August 31st, 2023. It's a strategic partnership project in a way that ENI was, and it's partly people from the ENI. When you have such a strong network as European Network for Academic Integrity, then it's very easy to find really good partners. Now we have Faith Project as well, and it's also one part of that work. In the Bridge project, we have 6 partners. Uppsala University, that's coordinating the project from Sweden. We have Southeast European University, North Macedonia. Then we have 2 partners from Lithuania, Office of the Ombudsperson for Academic Ethics and Procedures, as well as Lithuanian Social Research Center. Then we have Kherson National Technical University from Ukraine, and last but not least, Vendel University in Brno, where some of our colleagues from ENI are. So this project is basically building bridges. That's why we call it Bridge. And those bridges are between academic integrity and research integrity, between academic integrity and business ethics, and between academic integrity and citizen science ethics. So what we try to do is have this holistic perspective and try to build bridges between those different ethical fields. We don't have any partner from Slovenia, but I usually say that this is like having this Tromostovje 3 bridges picture in Ljubljana. And because that's basically what we are trying to do, go from academic integrity and see what we can do towards these other 3 ethical fields. And our target group, it's master and doctoral students and the supervisors of these students. So basically, what we would like to do is to develop different checklists and guidelines and open educational resources and gamified cases and have workshops and webinars. But I'm going to tell you a bit in detail what we are going to do. The project consists of 5 intellectual outputs. And the first one is the analysis of good practices in partner countries. So what we have done is to check the documents in all our countries. And the one thing that's good with us is that most of European projects are oriented towards Western Europe. So all countries are probably in such projects quite similar. But we have many countries from other parts of Europe, South Europe and Eastern Europe, in different developmental stages. So we encountered some different problems, because when you create this type of projects, it's actually very good to have countries that are a bit different, because otherwise you can miss very important things. So this is going to be applicable to a larger amount of countries, what we are trying to do. But what we did, so we went through the documents, codes of conduct, rules and guidelines on the institutional, national, and even international level, mostly European Union. We tried to check different courses in academic integrity and research ethics, business ethics, and citizen science in order to see how are the ethical problems connected between these fields. And also in different levels, both undergraduates, master, PhD students, and even courses for supervisors, to see how can we connect, because you have courses in academic integrity, you have courses in research ethics, business ethics, but usually there is no connection between them. And there are some transferable skills that might be useful to transfer. So when you go to research integrity course, you don't have to start from scratch, but you can use things that students were talked about on academic integrity courses, as well as you go, for instance, in business ethics courses, you can connect it better. So that's our aim. So we are trying to see these connections. We also, of course, checked quite a lot of previous research in those 4 fields: academic integrity, research integrity, business ethics, and citizen science. What we found out is that those fields are usually treated separately, but that there is a room to connect them better by highlighting this transferable ethical knowledge and skills. And we are trying to see these links regarding ethics and integrity between undergraduate studies and graduate studies. They're usually quite weak because it's usually treated as 2 separate fields, but students are just continuing their education. That's why we are focusing on master and PhD students, because we feel that there is a room for improvement, that there is an educational gap in ethical teaching. Also, connection between academic integrity and business ethics is underdeveloped, meaning that when you go to business ethics course, it's usually students have received ethical knowledge in academic integrity courses, but it's not highlighted enough in business ethics courses. When it comes to citizen science, you can call it a developing field. It's not a new field, but it's really exploding now because due to the technology. And there is a need to discuss the specifics of citizen science ethics in the academic integrity and research ethics courses. And the reason for that is that we are going to have students that are going to participate in citizen science projects, or that are going even to lead as researchers such projects. So they need to know what are the specifics with citizen science ethics. Citizen science has many definitions, but basically it's about science that is done outside normal higher education institutions, where citizens are involved either as partners that collect data, or even that are researching themselves. And then you have different ethical problems that are specific for that type of projects. So now, currently, we are running 3 parallel parts of these projects, where we develop checklists and open educational materials, including gamified cases to bridge academic and research integrity. It's the second one. The third one is developing guidelines and open educational materials that are going to bridge academic research integrity and integrity in business. And the fourth part is bridge towards citizen science ethics. So we are developing separate checklists and guidelines for each target groups in each of these areas. And what we are looking at are what ethical skills are transferable, what is important to remember. So basically, when you start to do your PhD, then you have this checklist, okay, ethical publishing. What do I need to know there? What can I chat? What can I connect with that, what I had in academic integrity? What's new that I really have to remember? We are also developing gamified cases because it's so boring to read just guidelines, you know that. So we want to make it more fun by developing cases. Cases are a very common way to teach ethics in higher education. You had this project that Tracy had, that Celine was talking about cases, because it's not really working to teach ethics by just telling you the rules. And most often it's quite a bit more complex. So you have to think. So it's much better to give you cases because then you have to discuss and you get this complexity, and people are discussing the best way. Usually you have ethical dilemmas as well, and it's not black and white. It's having two different solutions. One of them has some advantages, the other one has other advantages. What to choose? That's a dilemma. Because it's not like, it's very easy to say, okay, don't do that. But sometimes there are some more wicked and tricky questions. And that's why we usually teach both academic integrity and special research ethics through cases. And we have these cases gamified. Why have this gamification? That means that you implement a rule of a game. So you have some sort of a game and you have some points and reward and punishment. So it's getting much more interesting. So it's quite novel way in teaching, basically, to use gamification. But we want to connect so gamified cases. And when you build games, it's very important to have good game architecture, because ethical problems are not black and white, so you need to build in the complexities. You can't just have yes and no questions. You can't just have some, I don't know, Kahoot and have the right, because then you won't get the complexity. You will be able to instruct on the rules, but ethics is not only about rules and the law. You need to develop the sense of what's applicable in different contexts. So it's not so easy to teach ethics. It's because it's not just yes and no questions. So it's a very interesting field. And we have started to now currently we are writing a bunch of cases, and it's very fun for us to do. So that's the most fun part of this project, making games. So we are playing a lot. And as the last part of this project, we are going to package these guidelines and checklists into different open educational resources, and have these modules that are built that can be used. And it's going to be everything's going to be very open and under Creative Commons license. So you can download it basically and use it in your courses. And in 2023, we are going to organize a bunch of workshops and webinars for everyone. So you will be able to play with us, our games. And everything is going to be posted as a part of INAI educational materials. And that's why it's very good to connect projects, as Salim was talking about, because now we have already this platform that the European Network for Academic Integrity has. We have a website. Our website for our project is basically a part of INAI website, and we are going to download all our games and educational material that we are developing on the INAI website. So you can see how different projects can help each other to live further. So it's a very good way, if you're going to apply for some projects, to try to connect it to other projects and show what needs further to be done. And if you want to get to know more about the Bridge project, you have a website. We are also on Twitter and on Facebook. And that's it. That's what I was planning to tell you. And you're very happy. I'm very happy to answer any questions right now after Martine, or later if you want me to. So thank you.
Thank you, Sonja, for informing us about the details of your project. It's good to see that you are taking gamification into consideration, because otherwise simply dealing with policies may result in failure, because when we talk about ethics, some people might have some misinterpretation or some bias against the term. So it's a very good strategy, especially from pedagogic view, to benefit from the theoretical background of gamification. And we already have an INAI working group on gamification, and I believe some of our students, our PhD students here, has shown interest to join that group, so that they can better relate gamification theories with the principles of academic integrity. And if we can manage to organize summer school as a face-to-face event in Turkey this summer, maybe or hopefully we will be able to see some of the outputs of your project. And do you promise for any game here?
Yeah, what I promise definitely is checklists and guidelines, and perhaps some cases. I'm not sure, because we're using really cool computer graphics, and everything is going to be like a game, computer game. Our partners from Ukraine are really, really good, and they've shown us, and I'm really excited. So I don't know in what format, but we are going to show you something at least. So if in worst case scenario, you're going to get a game on paper if we are not done yet, but we'll try to have at least one game, so you can see, or one case.
Anyway, we will have INAI conference in 24 in Turkey. So at that time, you will have finished the game. So we will be able to play the games in 2024 then, if no earlier than this.
Yes.
Okay, thank you once again for this informative talk about your project. Meanwhile, from our students, do you have any contribution? Do you have any questions to Sonja about her project? If not, I'll move to Martine. Meanwhile, if you recall any questions, then we can discuss them at the end of the session, as you like. Once again, thank you, Sonja, and welcome, Martine. Good morning, bonjour to you. So it's 10:30 in Canada. Yeah, okay. It's 10:30 there. I'm quite good that it's not too early for you.
No, it's perfect.
Very nice to see you here in this winter day. I'm sure there's quite a lot of snow outside.
It's actually snowing right now.
Snowing right now, so we wish you good luck. Indeed, the weather is quite good, still quite good, at least at my town. And today Martine is with us once again for this course because she is running another project on academic integrity, mainly dealing with the prevention of plagiarism at universities, specifically focusing on undergraduate students. And as Çanakkale 18 Mart University, we are involved among the partners. So we are happy, we are very happy to be included in this important project. And as the European Network for Academic Integrity, we are also involved as partners. So we are quite happy to be contributing to this very important project because the funding is enormous. She managed to secure this funding after quite a lot very hard work on the project. I remember it from the very beginning when Martine came to Turkey to attend our conference here in Ephesus. At that time, she was drafting her ideas relating to the project, and it took her more than 2 years, for about 3 years to my knowledge at least, to draft the ideas and to secure the findings, which is about 2.5 million Canadian dollars. And the project is expected to last for 7 years. Now, I'd like to leave the stage to you, Martine, to inform us about further details of your project, please.
Okay. I just want to know before I start, because I have a tendency to talk very much, how long do I have?
No, we don't have any limitation. These are students here, so they are expected to be here as long as we continue the session. However, I am not sure. This is not valid for Sonja because I know she has some other appointments, so she might leave earlier. But for the students, no limitations, Martine. Please take your time.
I'll limit myself to about 20 minutes anyway, so that you can go on, because I think it's late for you now in Turkey, yes?
It is 6:30, almost 6:30 here.
Yeah. Half an hour, 20 minutes, and then 10 minutes for questions, and I will be done. So I'm going to share with you. I have to say, first of all, sorry that I was late. It's been crazy day here today. And so I was lucky. I managed to get my granddaughters out of the house. 4 of them, very loud, very noisy. So now I can concentrate a little bit more on what I want to say this morning. So I'm going to share my screen. Please tell me if you see it right now. Yes. And I want to see, hold on, sorry. I'm not even at the beginning. I don't know why. There we go. But I'm trying to see, I can't find, sorry about that. Okay, well, I'm just gonna have to go like this. I can only see one person. Oh, there we go, found it. There you are. So it's easier when we see people. So basically what I want to tell you about today is the PUP project, PUP being the Partnership on University Plagiarism Prevention. Like Selim said, we were funded last April, and there are 35 members of this partnership. So when I talk about members, you have to think they're not people, they're actually partners in institutions. So basically we have 31 institutions and 4 associations. That's a group of 63 researchers that are working together on looking at how we can ideally eliminate, but we're not going to be too optimistic, but we would really like to at least slow the rate, the numbers of plagiarism cases that we have throughout the world. PUP is limited to 3 different areas. So we have the United States, Canada, and Europe. So that's what we're looking at in terms of data collection. PUP is going to start data collection next October, so October 2022, with a questionnaire throughout our universities. In 2023, we're going to do interviews, and that's group interviews with students and individual interviews with teachers, so that we can see how they're working to prevent plagiarism, the students, and how the teachers, and how they're learning, in case of the students, how to prevent plagiarism. In 2024, we're going to do another type of data collection, which is a writing task, and we're going to go and see from the start of a task how students write, how they look for information, and I'm going to change my there we go. So basically what we're looking at is what we call digital scrapbooking strategies. And what we want to see is within the informational competencies that students use when they go search for information, how they do it, and are there good ways, good practices, basically, that's what we're talking about today, good practices on how to search for information, keep information, use information in the writing skills and in the referencing skills that can lead to academic integrity rather than plagiarism. So that's our model. So you can see the 3 different types of skills: informational, writing, and referencing. And basically, we want to see our teachers teaching these skills to help students write with integrity their papers, and our students using them. So that's the goal of the big project. Now, the reason we got onto this was because in Quebec, where I live, my province in Canada, we started a project with these scrapbooking strategies. And we found out interesting things about how teachers are teaching or not teaching these skills to help students. And so that's what I'm going to talk to you about today is about certain practices that teachers have. And you have to keep in mind, eventually you're going to be a teacher. You might be already. And so what practices do you want to use with your students to make sure that they write with integrity their papers when you ask them for papers, and that they don't plagiarize? So these are the practices that we found here in Quebec. And so what we want to see are these practices the same as in the States, or as in Turkey, as in Macedonia, England, France? We have Spain, 8 different countries in Europe. So that's what our goal. So basically today, what I'm going to show you is specifically reported practices of professors and lecturers to teach their students these skills. So good practices, what are they? And remember, we found out, and it's been proven by certain research, that few professors feel that they are equipped to teach these skills to prevent plagiarism, and students are not taught. So basically, teachers don't teach it and students don't use it, so we end up with plagiarism cases. So basically, we used a questionnaire, and in the questionnaire, we asked the professors, because there's a lot of enormous amount of information on the web, what do you put in place with your own students to get well-written and creative? And the creative, of course, is to say, how do you get them away from plagiarizing? So we had a lot of people that submitted answers to this, 203. Like I said, all from Quebec universities, different ages. Most of them did not participate. As you can see, 43%. People don't want to say anymore if their gender. So, but we did have 31 and 24% female that said, but 43% did not identify. So basically what we did was we identified 24 codes. And when I'm talking about these codes, of course, I'm talking about winning practices. Out of the 203 participants that we had, each of them submitted at least one. But we had 2 that says, oh, I have this thing that I do with my students, but I also have this other thing. And we had, believe it or not, 1 participant that gave up to 6 best practices. So in total, what the data analysis that we had was 293 best practices to get creative papers out of students. So I'm going to present you, basically we divided it into 9 themes, because I'm not going to show you obviously 293 best practices. We regrouped them in 9 themes, okay? These are, I'm presenting them to you from most frequent to less frequent. Just a quick question. What do you think was the most frequent answer that we got? Can anybody guess? And
Feedback,
I'm telling you.
maybe?
What's that?
Feedback?
Feedback? That would be a very good one, but it was not the most frequent. Actually, I lied earlier because I said I was going to tell you best practices, but our most frequent practice was the worst practice. And so this is what we called the worst practice. So yes, we had a lot of information. A lot of people gave us tips on how to well teach, but we also had 3 that said, it's not my job. So basically they're saying, I get to give students papers, but it's not my job to make sure that they do a creative paper. It's not my job to teach them that. So we have 3 types of professors, and that's what we called the worst practices, because the first one is a detached professor. He says, not my responsibility at all. We have what we call the delegator professor. The delegator professor says, it's been done somewhere else. It should be done in high school. It should be done in introduction to the program class, but it's not done in my class. And the third one is a little bit better because he does take a little bit of action, is what we call the referrer professor. The referrer professor is the one that sends students to see things elsewhere. Go see that, go read this, go read that. So he's not actually teaching, but at least he's giving some tips to students. So here's what it looks like. And these are actual quotes, translated, of course, because everything was in French, but these are actually quotes. This has little application to what I have to teach. It's not my job to show them that aspect. So very clearly, completely detached, not my job to make sure that students write good papers. If it's not their job, and we ask them, are there things that you do to make sure that they don't plagiarize, that they do creative? Not my jobs. Okay. The delegate or professor says, these concepts should be mastered before university. And the course, another one says, the courses that I teach are third-year levels, so I expect them to have developed these strategies. I spend very little time on assignment writing strategies. So again, he's saying, not my problem. And I'm saying he, but it could be a she. The referred professor said, I put written assignment submission guides on Moodle. So that's the amount of his teaching. Everything's on Moodle, go read them. I redirect them to grammar sources. I select videos, YouTube, and I post them on Moodle, or I send them to the library. Now, please, 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 remember when you become a professor, you do not want to be one of these three types. You want to have good practices. You want to help your students write good papers. And it does not matter what discipline you are teaching. If you're teaching nursing, you still have to show them how to do proper, I guess they do lab reports. Well, they have to know how to do a good lab report. If you're teaching education, you want them to do proper lesson planning stuff. So it doesn't matter which discipline, everybody should be teaching a little bit of these things. When we asked them, the best practices that came up was, they do say, we had 23% that gave
Hi everyone. I believe Martine dropped. So while we are waiting for her, maybe we can talk after her. Okay, so far she illustrated typical three professors that she revealed from the data of her research. Indeed, this reminded me an incident that I had with one of my students today, who's involved in my avoiding plagiarism in academic writing class. The student told me that she was not that happy with her bachelor's thesis that she submitted earlier. Okay, this is week 13, and she has been taking avoiding plagiarism course for 13 weeks. And she realized that she had some mistakes. Indeed, I would call them as mistakes, not errors, because she was not knowledgeable about academic writing. She had no idea how to cite the other sources. She had no idea about how to retrieve information from reliable sources. So today she ended up that she's not very happy with an earlier of her products, and asked my advice. Indeed, this becomes the proof of effective policies, effective academic integrity policies. Okay, when we talk about policies, we are talking about the responsibilities of every stakeholder. Okay, if we are trying to, for example, in Martine's project, we are trying to prevent student plagiarism. However, we cannot prevent student plagiarism only by focusing on students. First of all, we need to focus on lecturers. We need to focus on faculty members, because we are training them. So as faculty members, as instructors, as teachers, are we doing our jobs properly? When we have students, for example, Meltem responded to Martine's question as feedback. When we, for example, deliver any assignment, do we provide any constructive feedback to our students so that they can understand the strengths of their papers and the weaknesses of their papers so that they can develop it further. Are we focusing on products or are we focusing on process, the writing process? These are very important questions we need to identify here. Martine, I see you here. Do you hear us?
Yes, I do.
Okay, we were just talking after you. Welcome back. Okay.
I'm so sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. Okay.
I don't know what happened, but my computer was not did not want to collaborate.
Okay, no worries.
So I'm going to, sorry about that. I'm going to, oh, you need to give me access.
Okay, I gave it.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
Okay, I'm just gonna. So basically, these are the I've basically given you a sum up, and somebody earlier said feedback, and so what the professors gave us. Okay, and you can see the N is how many professors actually referred to this. So they say, I do teach the writing process. And so, but as you can see, the numbers are still very, very small. But they will work with, they actually ask their peers in the class to help students revise and correct papers. There is still 10 of them that say, I do teach the writing process when they are, when they're handing in papers. Formative. Can you imagine? 10 of them said formative evaluation. So actually grading the paper more than once will help students with their writing skills. That's a lot of work. And out of 203, only 11 do it, but it's still a very good strategy. Sending students to the get formative correction at the writing center is a great idea also, but it depends on how many of you have access to a writing center. So it's a little bit of refer because they send them to the reading center, but it's still a good one. And then correcting grammar. We still have 5% that says this is a good practice to prevent plagiarism. This will bring students to write good creative papers. The type of work was another, and that's very interesting. A best practice is what we ask the students to do. And so teachers said, we have to get away from theoretical papers. We have to ask them to write more practical papers. So for example, for me in education, I'm not going to ask them to write about their vision of education, but I'm going to ask them to write lesson plans because those are practical. These are something they can use in the classroom. 2 of them out of 203, only 2 of them mentioned that you need to make new assignments every session. How many students buy assignments from other students that have already taken the class with this professor? We need to make, and that's something that has to be, it's for me, one of the best practices, always ask for new assignments. Reflective work, asking students about their opinion about something is 14 professors mentioned that. So asking them things that are more personal to them, less focused on other authors, what other authors say. Another nice, interesting best practice. The type of support given to students. One of them said you'd have to give support, but didn't say what type. 3 of them said you have to give support to the whole group. So basically when there's a problem with the writing of the papers, we have to address it with the whole group. 7 of them said small group, and 8 actually meet students individually to help with problems that they might have on writing their papers. So it's important to realize that of 203, only 8 people are actually reachable for their students, actually give time to their students individually to to help, it's not a lot. Something that we really need to work on. Oops, sorry, I jumped one. And when we ask them about plagiarism, specifically plagiarism prevention, what do they do? Only 5%, only 2% of our, only 5 professors out of 203 say, I teach about quoting and paraphrasing. If we ask students all the time to go and use other authors, we need to make sure that they know how to quote and paraphrase. And only 8%, not 8%, 4%, 8 teachers said that they discuss plagiarism with their students. These are best practices, but they need to be implemented at a much wider, with a much wider number of professors doing them. And so basically, what I see from these numbers, and I could have shown you all kinds of quotes and you would have been horrified or wondering, oh my God, when can I put this into practice? Because there are very good practices that were mentioned. But what we find is we have too many professors that are detached delegators or referrer professors. We do have what we call integrity ambassadors. Those are the ones that gave best practices. We had 1 out of 203 that gave 6 different practices that he does to make sure his students write with creativity. Those are the types of professors that we want in front of us. But what we see is that they need to be heard, these ambassador professors. They need to show what they do to other professors, to other faculty, to train other faculties so that the other faculties can train students that need to acquire skills and strategies that they need to prevent plagiarism. And so that's the end of my my talk, but I do finish with a quote with somebody that said, small assignments that allow students to practice before a big assignment is due. That's a good thing to do. They often have access to a lot of tools, but only understand their relevance when they do an assignment. In addition, students may have understood a lot of paraphrases without necessarily being able to make one in a relevant way despite clear instructions. Practice is often an underestimated element. Understanding a scientific text and being able to paraphrase it also involves trial and error and familiarity with the type of text. Having reading, writing strategies outlined can help, but is not enough. So basically, what we need to do is get our students to practice, 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 and only then will they feel more comfortable, and only then will they not plagiarize. That's it. Any questions? I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Martine. Indeed, it's quite interesting to learn about your findings, especially regarding the classification of professors. So we now know better what we mean by academic integrity ambassadors at the institution. So if you are referred as an ambassador of academic integrity, it means that you are being a role model for the other professors at the institution as well. So this should be a very important qualification of the ambassador. If you are recognized as a role model, then you become a real academic integrity ambassador. Indeed, your research is quite relevant to our field, because my students, only one of them here is teaching at K-12 level. All the others are teaching at universities. They are acting as EFL, English as a foreign language, instructors at different institutions, different schools. Some work at the Faculty of Education, some others working at preparatory classes, foreign language at foreign language units, and even you provide a sample with reference to nursery. For example, nurses, for example, I remember that one of our students is working with nurses. Do I remember it correct? Demet, is this you?
It was me, hocam, Tutku.
Oh, okay, Tutku. So I couldn't recall the name correctly. So
Okay.
indeed, we might be teaching writing to different groups of students. However, there are general principles that we are expected to focus here. When we check the earlier methodology, teaching methodology, we see that the focus was on the product, in the product approach. So the teacher would bring a model text to the students and would expect students to produce something similar to this model text. But later we recognize that we shouldn't give the priority to the product. Instead, we need to see what happens throughout the writing procedure. So starting from drafting the ideas, how does the student brainstorm, for example? And then how does the student prepare the outline, produce the first draft, second draft, and how the student moves from first draft to second draft? What changes does the student make? These are all important questions. And if the student is receiving feedback from the teachers, this is one concern. If the student is receiving feedback from the other peers, then we talk about scaffolding from the peers, and we need to arrange them appropriately in the classes. And at this point, when we are encouraging peer feedback, on one hand, for example, from the point of academic integrity, we need to clearly show them the line in between collusion and collaboration. Okay, we are promoting collaborative writing. However, they need to show what their responsibility is, and as a collaborator, as someone providing feedback, they need to know where to stop. Okay, I'm providing the feedback, I'm not correcting it, or I'm not rewriting this expression on behalf of my friends. So these are very important issues that we need to think before we deliver any assignment. If I'm a professor simply delivering the topic to the students and then asking them to submit it before the due date, then it means that I am not doing my job properly. So Martine, your research is quite important to provide evidence for labeling professors. I would like to replicate it here at my institution. Maybe I could do this and learn about the preferences, the perceptions of our colleagues here as well.
You might not be the favorite if you do that, though.
I know. I know. Okay, then. So shall we leave the word to our students? I'm sure they should have quite a lot to ask you or to contribute to your presentations. Hi, guys. Another exam time for you. Okay, Martine, please make sure you are assigning scores to the students depending on the questions. Just kidding.
I was going to say, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to grade here. I'm a terrible teacher. Not a good practice.
Okay.
Actually, I have a question. I just wondered why the professors assume that their students need to know these concepts before they become undergraduate students, because I guess they expect their students to learn these things in high school.
In Quebec, the school system is a little bit different because students finish high school, and after high school, they have to go to college. In Quebec, you cannot go from high school directly to university. You have a 2-year college program to do. And in this 2-year program, it's called pre-university. And in this 2 years, high school is a little bit shorter than elsewhere because of that. But you finish high school and you already know what you're going to do when you go on afterwards. So students who know they're going to go in science, they will go to college in science classes. So they will already be starting their learning their discipline. There is a general social science class. So for anybody who wants to go in education or psychology and all that, they go there. And so they do get part of this training while they're in college. So when they arrive at university, professors say they should know they've been through college and they've been through high school. So they think they've done that. Part of this project that we did, we asked students, when you get to university, do you expect to be trained? And we always have four different questions: writing skills, informational skills, referencing skills, and knowledge about plagiarism. So we asked them, do you expect to be trained when you get to university in these four things? And we had about, I don't remember the exact number, but about 85% said, of course, I expect to be trained. And we asked of the professors the exact same question. Do you expect your students to have this knowledge before they get to university? And we had about 85% that said yes. And so students want more training, and professors think they've had the necessary training. So there's a clash here. And so that's the problem. Our school system should, before university, should teach them. But as I said in my conclusion, practice, practice, practice. So you can't just do it for 2 years in college and expect to be perfect when you get to university. They have to keep practicing. And discipline, within each discipline, things are different. And so professors need to teach them what it means to do academic writing in education, in language teaching, in nursing, in psychology, in anything. It's different in every discipline. And so students need to be, our whole project is based on the fact that students need to be better trained, and teachers need to be better trained so that they can teach better. And then we'll prevent some plagiarism, not all of it, but a lot of it, I think.
And here I have a question, if I may.
Tutku, before we move to your question, I'd like to specify a very important point here.
Of course.
Martine, indeed, your example is very important in terms of research methods here. We always encourage our students to conduct research and to collect data in a reliable manner, so that triangulation, for example, seems very important. Suppose, for example, if you would ask this question merely to students or merely to professors, then you would reveal that, okay, students think in this way, or students are expected to practice these skills before they enter the university. So your results would be misleading. Therefore, it is very important either to collect data by means of different tools to check the accuracy against each other, or to match different people with different roles, and then to see how they are matching with each other. So this is a very important point here, Martine. Thanks.
And I'm just going, before you ask your question, I just want to say also is we got incomplete data because we only know what students are saying at the university. So we had funding for another project. Unfortunately, with COVID, it's been very, very, very difficult to gather our data, but we're gathering data because basically what we said, okay, they're saying they don't get it in college, the students, and the professors say they should get it in college. So right now we're gathering the same type of data collection in college and in high school, because basically we want to see, is it true that they're actually learning it in high school, or are they not learning it in high school and not learning it in college? And that's why we get so much plagiarism in universities. So we're doing the 3 different levels to see the progression. And then we'll have a much more complete data set. Only in Quebec, the the PUP is only for university level, but in Quebec, we'll have a better data set. So that's my answer.
This is amazing. Thank you. Thank you for extra clarification, Martine. Tutku, before we move to you, Sonja is raising hand. Sonja?
I'm sorry, Tutku, you seem never to get to ask a question. Just wanted to say that it's very problematic, even if you have this type of education in colleges. You have students from different parts of the world coming to, for instance, Sweden, and you can't make sure, even if you get results from colleges and high schools, that they are valid for all students. So you really need to start from scratch. One way of doing this is to incorporate teacher training. I did quite a lot of academic integrity training, and I talked to teachers in that, the university teachers, how to teach academic integrity and why they need to teach it and why they can't just rely on having someone else doing that, because it is discipline specific, and quite a few things there are discipline specific.
Thank you, Sonja. Either in-service training or pre-service teacher training, both of them are quite important. Okay, Tutku, sorry for keeping you wait here.
No worries. And Professor Martine, when I look at the articles that you have written, I also saw that you are interested in digital technologies as well. And so here is my question. So we are talking about some practices and kind of strategies to prevent plagiarism and so on, and to promote academic integrity. So from your point of view, how can we integrate this digital literacy or digital things into the promotion of academic integrity? Do you think that it's a field to improve, that requires more improvement, actually?
Definitely. And because we've seen there's a gap between student knowledge of technology and professors' knowledge of technology. And because professors aren't using the technology to teach, and not only to teach, but to use it with students so that they know how to write better papers, there's a clash, and students use the technology then in their own different ways. They don't necessarily know how to use it properly, and they don't know which ones to use. And I'll give you an example. I teach a first semester literacy class. When my students arrive in our program, I get all of them. Every single one of them has to follow my class in September when I just finished grading a lot of papers now. And basically what I do is, first of all, I teach them how to look properly at the library. And and you know what, it sounds really simple. Everybody knows how to use Google. Yeah, but if you want to write an academic paper, Google is not the place to go. You have to go to the library. At least if you're going to use Google Scholar. Very little students actually know about Google Scholar. So that's the first thing I teach them, how to search properly. Second thing I teach them is use any type of software. And I mentioned, and we see one or two in class, software to keep track of what you find. Because don't not glue it, but copy and paste it in Word, because you'll lose track of where you found it. And when you've lost track of where you find it, you can't reference it. So we actually look at things like OneNote, Evernote, to actually take good notes in class. Again, another piece of software that students don't use. They say, I don't need to do that. I just copy and paste it in Word, and then I reword it and all that. And then they forget that they didn't reword it, and they again got for plagiarism. A lot of students do that. Another thing that we do with them is, in French, we have a piece of software that does fabulous revisions and corrections. And so we show them how to revise a text, how to do it properly. So that's another piece of software that we use in class with them. And you know what? In my class in September, students there's no textbook to buy. They have to buy that piece of software. It's $100. I say you don't have to pay to buy a textbook, but you have to buy this piece of software, and it's in French and English, and it's going to save you forever and forever and forever in grammar corrections, because it is fabulous. So if any of you are writing your thesis in English, go out and buy this software. You can buy it online. It's called Antidote, and it is amazing. I have no shares in the company, but I tell it to everybody. It's called Antidote, like this.
Okay.
So go out, buy this thing. It's the best. It's got dictionaries on everything, and it's French and English. I use it to correct all my English text. When I write an English text, I use it all the time. It's fabulous. So it's compulsory. They have to buy it. And on the final exam, there's a question on the software. If they haven't bought the software, they can't answer the question. That's how mean I am. I call that a good practice. Why? Because they have to learn. We have a 3-hour session, how to learn the software, how to use it, how to not just use it just to do a Grammarly check. It's much more advanced than that. So that's another software that they use. And then I force them to use EndNote. Because I do like the last one, my conclusion, my students have to hand in at various different times in the session. They have to hand in the same paper. They have to hand it in to a peer. It gets corrected, gets back to them. I correct the peer correction. Then they have to hand in a first version. I send it back, and then they hand in the final version. And every single time I check, have they used EndNote? Does everybody know what EndNote is? Yeah.
Yes.
Mendeley, same thing. And so if they don't use Mendeley or EndNote or
Zotero
is the other one, they lose grades. So you know what? They use it because they have to. And so in the 3 months that I have them, I force them to use all this technology. And by the end of the 3 months, I'm hoping it's become a habit. And what happens when it becomes a habit is they're just starting a 4-year program. They're going to use it for 4 years, and it's going to diminish the number of plagiarism cases in our program. And that's my objective.
Yeah. So thank you for your answer.
You're welcome.
Martine, it's quite important to encourage our students' use of digital tools. I just had a session with my undergraduates yesterday on the use of digital tools and how they can maximize their benefits from these digital tools. However, meanwhile, I'd like to warn them against the dangers on the internet. Specifically, for example, if they are using any paid services. Let's say, for example, Grammarly. Okay, many of our students are benefiting from Grammarly in terms of revealing mechanical mistakes. However, Grammarly also has some paid features. I'm not very familiar with the paid features, but if money is involved, I always have some suspicions. So my suggestion to my students all the time, if you're paying, then it means that you need to be very careful. They may invite you, someone may invite you for some illegal interactions that might result in contract cheating. So you might be collaborating with an essay mill. So they may encourage you to pay more, and then they may invite you to send more money for writing your own assignments. So they need to be very careful about it, especially some of our students are overexcited about plagiarism in their assignments. We are using Turnitin here to reveal similarities. So sometimes some students may wish to check similarities before they submit the assignment to the teacher. And they may wish to use some free tools that are available on the internet. And one of them is Viper, for example. Viper, as they name it, plagiarism checker. Indeed, Viper is collaborating, as a brand is collaborating with an essay mill. So there is a very high risk if they submit their assignment, for example, to Viper to check the similarities. It means that their essay might be transferred to an essay mill and might be sold to another student. So it is very important to call our students against such dangers available on the internet as well.
Definitely. I tell my students, if you buy, because it's a phenomenon that's being more and more present. If you buy an assignment, there's always a danger afterwards that you'll get blackmailed. Nowadays, it's more and more frequent.
Exactly. So indeed, students, especially when they buy assignments from essay mills, they feel that they are bypassing their systems, both the essay mills, because they do not reveal their identity. I mean, they create another fake email account and maintain their communication with the essay mills by using this fake account, so that they feel that they protect their identities. However, they don't know that they'll be submitting an assignment by using Turnitin. And later the essay mills, they are using Turnitin to submit the same assignment in order to see to which university it is submitted. So it is quite easy for such companies to track where the assignment is going and then blackmail the students. So it's their marketing strategy. Okay, any other contributions? Sonja, would you like to add anything more?
Well, thank you, Martine, for an exciting presentation. I think it's very important to see, to remind teachers to start with that they always need to have new questions. So for you that are going to be future teachers, really change your questions. Students talk to each other. That's the first and most general advice I can give you. And there are several others. Never expect that Salim was talking about focusing on the process. So yes, when you start to teach, never just accept a product without getting involved. You are talking about peer review as well. One good advice there is to have a list of questions and advice for students, because giving peer review is an art in itself, and it has to be learned. So provide your students with a list of what questions exactly what they need, because otherwise it tends to be, oh, you're missing a comma here and there. It's getting really going on formalia instead of getting this deep feedback. So giving feedback is a process they need to learn. So that's also something you need to work with. So there's quite a lot of things you as teachers have to work. And if you teach teachers, please try to explain to them that it's not enough to have one lecture on academic integrity, but they need to work, and getting into academic writing, getting those skills, it takes time. So you need to have small assignments. And what I usually teach teachers is that we usually are very bad in teaching students proper citation technique, because that takes time. And they have questions. Of course, they know, okay, I need to have citation here, and then I have to have a reference, and they know that. That's not a problem. The problem is all these tricky questions. How can I handle translations? How can I handle secondary reference? So there are many small things, and so provide them with the opportunity to discuss that. And whatever discipline you have, provide them with the opportunity to read texts, because even reading is, I mean, before they start to write, they have to read and to know how to read academic writing. And so that there are many things, many steps we as teachers can do to be ambassadors, as Martine would say, and not to be those bad teachers that just think that it's someone else's job. So it's up to all of us to teach academic integrity properly, and try to connect if you have all these students that have this lecture in academic integrity, try to when they start to write a bachelor thesis, connect it to that, because otherwise they tend to forget sometimes that they had this lecture on plagiarism, but when they really have to do it, to remind them on every exam and every thesis they have to write, that they still need to reference correctly, that it is still forbidden to plagiarize and stuff like that, and so that they see that this is a process and that this is connected. So build these bridges that I was talking about.
Well, thank you, Sonja. Indeed, you refer to delivering feedback, and when we check the relevant literature, indeed, we see that feedback exchange contributes to the development of writing skills, but not only to this, it is beneficial for the student who receives the feedback. Indeed, the literature says it is more beneficial for the student who is providing feedback, because the student becomes more critical. So we need to find ways for better implementation of feedback exchange. For example, in my courses, for example, I make my rubric available for my students, and I use it as a learning tool, not only as an assessment tool. Okay, they know how I assess, what criteria I pay attention. And when it comes to delivering feedback, for each statement that I have in my rubric, I create a question for the feedback exchange. Okay, relating to this criteria in the rubric, what feedback do you provide to your friends? So this is very important, because while they are providing feedback to their peers, they can recall that they made something similar in their papers, so that they can spot the mistakes in their own papers. So this is an opportunity as a self-feedback as well. And to my experience, it contributes a lot to the development of their writing skills. Okay, any other contributions? Either from our guests or from our students, or let me check the YouTube as well. We have no contribution from YouTube, but we say hi to our YouTube audience as well from here. Okay, it seems that we are all satisfied with the session. I'd like to thank you all for your contributions, dear Sonja and Martine. So it was really good to see you here. Hope throughout your projects you will manage to achieve some more good points, and we'll be happy to learn about the developments of your projects. Thank you.
Well, if I may ask your student, when we are finished with our PhD checklists, we could possibly send them to you and get some feedback, so you can train your feedback skills, and we can get some feedback on our guidelines and checklists, if it's okay with you.
Exactly. They are very happy. I'm sure they will be very happy to contribute to it.
Thank you in advance, then.
Thank you for considering them. Martine, hopefully we will have the summer school for your project in 2024 in Turkey.
Yes, I'm hoping so as well.
Yes. So by that time we will have some data from the research from the project. So we will be able to learn about the details, some of the details here at the summer school, hopefully.
We will.
Okay. Thank you once again. Hope to see you face to face soon somewhere. Let's hope for the best. Take good care, please.
Thank you. Good luck with the course.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
You
Bye.
too.
Thank you too. Bye bye.